Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our returning listeners. Welcome if this is your first time listening. We're so happy to have you all with us today.
Thank you for joining us for the 16th episode of the Lion PrideCast, a podcast created by the Lansing Unified School District 469, located in Lansing, Kansas.
Sweet 16, Sharon.
Yeah.
What did you get for your Sweet 16? Did you get a car?
No, I did not get a car. I don't think I got anything for my...
You got no gifts on your 16th birthday? Your mom's listening right now.
I bet you, I don't think she'll remember either.
Way to go of not getting your daughter a gift on her 16th birthday.
What about you? What did you get?
I don't remember. The purpose of this podcast is to inform our Lansing stakeholders, being our community members, students, and staff, about all things education. We are your hosts. I am Miles Azzeh, Director of Teaching and Learning in Lansing USD469.
And I am Sharon Burns, the Director of Communications and Marketing. So today we are welcoming our Lansing Middle School Principal, Mr. Brooks Jenkins. So welcome, Mr. Jenkins.
Welcome, Brooks.
Yay.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, this is going to be fun.
I think we're going to have a blast. By the way, I think my parents got me, I'm sorry to derail,
Okay.
Because I want them to remember, I think they got me a Yankees jacket. I was a big Yankees fan. I'm still a big Yankees fan. And you remember those like navy blue ones they used to wear in the dugout, Brooks, that would say Yankees across it? And they were kind of like shiny. Yes, he knows what's up. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I really loved that jacket.
You didn't get a car?
I did not get a car.
Okay. What about you, Brooks?
Definitely did not get a car. I do not remember
Thank you.
any present from that birthday.
Yes.
Nothing sticks out.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry that neither of you had childhoods. They were 16-year-old gifts. Just kidding. Because I love my jacket. All right. So, Brooks, we're so happy to have you with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Specifically, maybe, where you're from, how you ended up here, your skills with axe throwing, whatever things that you would like to throw at us. I'm just loving the smiles for Brooks right now. So you can lead with the axe throwing, or you can tell us the other thing, whatever you'd like. Just make sure axe throwing comes up.
I was not prepared for axe throwing, by the way. It is
That night or now?
well, now. I mean, well,
I would
or
say
that,
both.
or that time. Yeah, so,
Listeners are like, we need to know. So continue, though. Tell us about you. Tell us about your journey and everything, but just make sure axe throwing comes up at some point.
all right. I'll cover the axe throwing first.
Okay.
The axe throwing was
Yes,
actually a
please do.
gift from front office staff to me.
Oh.
And it was, I don't remember if it was for Christmas or whatever. So it was for a group of 4 to go down, and Sharon went down, and
Yes, I did.
my wife and I, and we went down, and I believe Sharon won the axe throwing
I
that
have a
night.
trophy in my car
Yes.
that I carry with me everywhere.
Claim to fame,
It
right?
is. I'm going to hold on to it.
She made sure to tell every single superintendent candidate about it.
No, I didn't. There was only one.
And she told them that, believe it or not, actually, our middle school principal came with us and, ooh, how were you, Brooks? How were you that day?
I don't recall.
I do.
Oh,
He took class.
I did.
But I did hear you redeemed yourself the next time.
I do have a trophy myself.
Yeah, he won the
yes.
second trophy.
yes.
But not when I played.
No, okay, that face.
In case
No.
people don't know, Sharon is a little competitive, so
Just a little.
quite proud of this.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I'm
Okay, all
sorry.
right. And
Okay,
I'm
let's
glad
hear
you
about you.
redeemed yourself.
Yes.
Where's your trophy?
Believe in my basement on a shelf.
Okay.
That's too
Okay.
bad.
Not in the car that you see every single day and
No,
tell
it's not
strangers
on,
about
it's not
it.
on the dash of my car.
Okay. That's that competitive gene. All right, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about you, your background, the fact that you're not from here, so all that kind of stuff. Go for
No,
it.
I'm not. So I'm originally from a small town in western Iowa, Ida Grove, and small town, a lot of small towns in western Iowa. And I decided in early high school that I was going to pursue education as a career path. And remember, I had a very good conversation with a high school teacher about that decision, and she steered me towards the direction of going to the University of Northern Iowa for post-high school. University of Northern Iowa, UNI, is formerly known as the Iowa Teachers College. So I did go there, and I studied elementary education, and upon graduating, moved to Leavenworth, Lansing area, and I've been here ever since. So my background with the actual career is a little bit unique in the fact that I have spent my entire career at Lansing, but I substitute taught for a little while first in several different districts, with Lansing being a primary one and Lansing Middle School being the primary one in the district. And then I started at moved into the position of 7th grade teacher in 1997 at Lansing Middle School, and also did some coaching, mainly football. And then I moved in the vice principal role in 2003, stayed there for quite a while until 2020, and I've been the head principal at Lansing Middle School since then.
Yay, nice.
Really-
What did you teach?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's what I was going to
sorry.
ask. I wasn't sure if I missed that. What did you teach?
I taught mainly science. I had
Okay.
3 classes of science, 1 social studies, and 1 literature class.
Ooh, a little variety
A little
there.
bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I can tell you, Brooks is a very good football coach because he coached my oldest son, Brian, for many years.
I did, yes.
What was it?
When
The
I-
Bolt? The
We had a couple different names. We were the Bruisers.
Bruisers, that's what it was.
Yeah,
I still got the
Bulldogs,
video.
I think.
I like
Yeah.
the bruisers.
Yeah,
Keep
that's my
that
favorite
in.
one.
Yeah.
So many of in our community know Kerry Brungart.
Mm-hmm.
So he is your predecessor and the one of the Lansing City Councilmen. You're lucky to work under him for a long time and learn from him. So can you talk about the role he played as a mentor to you and how you can now pay that forward to your now assistant principal, Nick Flynn?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to work with Kerry for as long as I did in several different capacities. Overall, that number was 23 years that I worked with him and
Wow.
under him. So one of the best things about Kerry was he was able to do so well was to offer support. And he was a great sounding board. He knew when to be directly involved and when to allow space for something to be worked out and to give the person ownership. As an administrator, and that was the bulk of the time that I worked with him, he was collaborative with me, and we made decisions together for the best of student, staff, and the school. But he didn't pigeonhole me into a role where I couldn't grow. He made me a part of the building leadership team, let me work with as many academic areas as I could, and he told me several times that his goal was to give me a well-rounded experience to where I'd be able to transition in the principalship role as easily as possible. So I've really tried to take that same mindset with Nick Flynn, who is excellent, by the way, but we work as a team with decision-making for almost everything, and I do have many years now as an admin, and I try to guide him the best I can based on that experience. I also try to allow him to have freedom to be able to do his job as independently as possible, and I think that's where that sounding board
Right.
comes into play. Ultimately, though, allowing him latitude to take things on, to explore his ability to use his own strengths, and we're best as a team, and that allows him to have a well-rounded experience in the vice principalship role. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I've learned a lot from him in that role as my vice principal, and he's brought different experiences to the table, and I think you need to open yourself up to the other viewpoints as a leader, and
Yeah.
he certainly brought those things to us.
Yeah, love that.
I love that
Sounds like a
last
good
line.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You do make a good team. I can tell we're in there a lot of times for different reasons. Actually, just recently did an academic spotlight in there, and I can just tell the interactions between the two of you. It is there's that collaborative, thank you. But it's also just like, I don't know, like a respect for each other, that sometimes you don't see because some people believe in like the hierarchy of a system. And of course, like you're his principal, but it doesn't seem that way. It seems collaborative in the way of like we're a team. So
Right.
kudos to you both.
Yeah.
Lucky to have you
We
both.
try to do that. I think that's a very good point about, play to each other's strengths and be able to work in that arena together in that manner.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the things that you have going on at the middle school that you're proud of. We had to actually asked you about this, and one of the things that you brought up was PLCs, which has been going on for a little while. But can you tell our listeners what a PLC is, how you utilize them, and maybe how they started at LMS and how you've made sure that they've continued now that you're in this role?
So a PLC is a professional learning community, and it's definitely one of the things that I'm most proud of at LMS. It's one of the things that, I had involvement in getting started a number of years ago. So I was lucky enough to attend a conference in the summer of 2003, which is when the year that I became vice principal, but I was told that we were going to attend, I think it was down in Gardner, conference with Rick DuFour as keynote speaker, and he was going to be speaking about professional learning communities, which I had never heard of at the time, and wasn't too excited to attend in June of 2003, if I'm being really honest. But I went, and I was really, really intrigued by Rick DuFour and hearing him talk about professional learning communities. But the disadvantage I had at that time was I was not an administrator yet. I hadn't actually started, so I really had no idea how to get something like that started at our school. I had conversations with Kerry. It was building admin teams that went down to the conference. And so we talked about it over a couple of years, and then a couple of years down the road in 2007, Wichita was hosting Rick and Becky Dufour coming for a couple-day conference on professional learning communities, and Kerry and I talked about attending that with the idea, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, and we're going to implement it at Lansing Middle School full scale. So we took a team down there of teachers too. We really thought that would be best to be able to sell it to our staff, and so we went down there for the 2-day training, and it was outstanding. It was great to hear more in depth than what I'd heard before. Definitely had a different mindset now that I've been in admin for a couple of years, and you could quickly realize the impact that it was going to have on the staff. So in the fall of 2007, we did implement it at Lansing Middle School, and it was a great decision to do that because it helped us to be more collaborative as a staff. And to get back to the question, though, professional learning community, I think as a concept is something that's overused as a term and kind of generalized. But the Dufours were really at the heart of getting that started, and we try to stay true to their model. And the idea behind it is that teachers collaborate with teachers that have subject areas that are alike. So, for example, our 6th grade math teachers work together as a PLC group. 7th grade language arts is a PLC group that's different, and then 8th grade social studies, so on and so forth. You get the idea. But by working together, they establish norms for meetings, identify essential outcomes, things that should be taught. They use data to form SMART goals, and SMART goal would be an acronym for being specific, measurable, attainable, results-oriented, and time-bound. And they plan lessons and units of study together. But it's important to note that they're not planning identical things, because really a PLC is built around drawing upon each other's strengths, and different methods are important. So, and then common formative assessments come into play, or CFAs, and a CFA is the same or common for all the teachers, and for that you do want that to be identical. But it's formative, meaning that it informs instruction, and then students have an opportunity to receive reteaching and retesting. And then the most important piece for the CFA is a data discussion that takes place on that CFA to inform instruction and to talk about student performance related to instructional pieces for the betterment of those instructional pieces, and ultimately for improvement with student learning.
Right.
So clarifying question. In the PLCs, our last episode was around GVCs, the Guaranteed Viable Curriculum. I just had a couple of your 8th grade teachers. I connected with them yesterday. They were working 8th grade science, Jessica Graves, and I want to say the name wrong, Kaylee Rothlange. Okay, I was going to say that last time. And it was really impressive, the work they're doing, and that's what you're talking about, is like they get to be together during time, common plan, common prep, and they can do stuff like the GVC or look at the data that might come up. Is that, do they find that valuable, you think? Have you ever asked them just point blank, how is this time going for you? And just how is, not necessarily the GVC, but the time to do work like the GVC? How is it over there?
Well, I have a lot of conversations with teachers about PLCs and the PLC process. And they do value that time to be able to collaborate with one another. I think that's a main reason why we're as successful as we are, is that collaboration time, and that being a main piece of that. So they do, when we transition to putting GVCs into place and for teachers to put those down on a paper, I think that was pretty easy for them to do, because they have already talked about the essential outcomes for each one of their classes, so they know the most important pieces that are being taught, and that segues into the GVC really well. And I've heard that from different groups. I mean, the 8th grade being one of those, that they've had an easy time being able to put things to paper, because this is practice that's already being used.
I've been proud every time I've worked with the middle school staff more than anybody else, because there's always going to be apprehension at the beginning of a process, but it is so funny. The minute especially if they've watched my videos, if they've looked at the cheat sheet, the minute they understand the concept, like, oh, that's just all we're doing, we do that anyway.
Right.
And I'm like, exactly. But they really seem to click it because I think that probably the PLC process, they've been doing that anyway. Rick DeForce, 4 questions, right? That's pretty much what the GVC is. That's great, Brooks. I'm so happy that it's working out there for you. And thank you. It's helped the district initiative of GVC. So, and I appreciate your support with it, Brooks.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to cover is something I think is also really cool about the middle school, and it's the student-led conferences. So you started that several years ago, I believe, when Merrick was there, my son Merrick, and it is really, really neat because the students get to play an active role in their conferences. Can you talk a little bit about that and just how it's went?
Yeah. Well, student-led conferences, that's another initiative that I'm really proud of. So our goal with student-led conferences was to increase accountability for our students by allowing them to take that active role you talked about with their own education. A lot of times students are just kind of a bystander in conversations that take place about them, and we wanted them to be the main player in that. And that's another one that's been kicked around for a while, and, well, wouldn't that be cool if we did this, and didn't really have a formal plan to be able to do that, and we put into place advisory as part of the accreditation process that we just were accredited for. I mean, with that cycle.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. And so a large part of the advisory then we thought would be able to do the student-led conferences, and we've kind of transitioned since into some other areas with that. But so we wanted to make sure that if we did that it was going to be done well. And so we had conversations for about 1.5 years actually before we put it into place. We formed a committee of teachers and myself to be able to have our bases covered with that. And then in the winter of 2020, luckily we were able to get that in right before COVID, the first set of student-led conferences. We were able to put it in. It seems like it's something that would be really easy, just have students talk about each one of their classes, but there's a lot more to it. Right. So that's where that planning went in. But what the student-led conferences have allowed us to do and to take place is for students to be able to address current status of academics for their classes, but also their behavior, their attendance, and just all those things that make up a student and their success or lack thereof. But it also allows them to be able to, in a lot of regards, kind of show off a little bit, talk about the positives that are going on with them, and inform their parents about things that wouldn't otherwise be part of a conversation. It allows them to be able to talk about, like I said, the behavior and the attendance and things that are impacting them. And, it's a formalized setting to be able to do that. And then a really important piece of that is talking about goals to be able to work on improvement. So what's really awesome, though, is the end product with that. I think that's what you're talking about with your experience with that is. And I get to see that more so than a lot of people because I see the parents come in, I see when they leave and how they look during that time, and I just think it gives us something that you don't otherwise normally get. We also had pretty low attendance comparatively speaking for that spring conferences, and we wanted more involvement from our families, and we saw this as an avenue to be able to do that. We've been able to do that. We've had about 90 to 95% attendance rate. But what's really, really cool is to be able to see those interactions between the student and the parent during the student-led conference, the conversation that's taken place about how things are working at school for the student. And, it's not always just everything's perfect. Of course it's not. There's improvement, but students are able to talk about, I need to be able to do this for improvement. And they've had some coaching from their advisory teacher on that, and they can address that. So you see a lot of parents who are really proud of students on their way out, and that is what I think is heartwarming about the process.
It's something that I like about it is something I try to instill in my kids is to be an advocate for themselves, and that was a really great thing for Merrick because it builds confidence. You're presenting. He had a whole portfolio. It was really cool, and my youngest Brooks is going to be there next year, so I'm sure he'll get nervous, but it's definitely worth it. So kudos.
It is,
Yeah.
I've just speaking to a parent recently as two students there at the middle school, and he brought up student-led conferences, that was one of his favorite things that they do there, because he was talking about that he wants, I like the word that you used, Brooks, because it was the same one, ownership. He wants them to have that drive, like that self-efficacy and the ability to say, I'm going to work on this or show it off or whatever. And so kudos to you guys for doing that.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the next question, which before I do that, you may have heard a little crinkling sound earlier. I was not eating candy.
I specifically told Miles and made sure there was nothing crinkly around him, and he managed to find the water bottle. So,
And here's the thing. I put it down because Brooks was speaking, but I'm really thirsty.
I hope Brooks saw the dirty look I gave you. When
Jeez.
you was
I'm
I
sure.
saw the look on Miles' face when he did it.
Yeah.
like he was scared because I was going to.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom. And then I put the water bottle down very quickly, but I'm thirsty, so hold on. All right, I'm back. The purpose of this podcast is to provide some new learning, Brooks, and more information to our listeners. But what are some ways that you continue to grow as a learner? It could be books, our podcast, articles perhaps, maybe people at district office that lead book studies that are fantastic book studies. And
Greenbush.
such.
Hint,
Green
hint.
Bush.
You want me to?
Hint, hint, me. No, I'm just kidding. No.
teach you axe throwing.
It could be any. Oh, there we go. No, Brooks, you do not need to say anything that I've imparted on you. I do want you to know that my mom listens, though. So
Okay.
you would get some brownie points. Just kidding. I'm completely being facetious. Tell us about how you learn. I actually would like you to talk about the Green Bush thing too, because you've done that this year. That'd be a great one. But or whatever it is. Where do you learn from?
Well, I try to be a lifelong learner. I mean, I think that is extremely important in the profession that I'm in. So I do that in a variety of ways. I do read books. I mean, but I found that to be just a little bit difficult to do because of how busy I am.
Right.
So I'm usually more inclined to read a journal article or something like that that's a little bit shorter, and I try to find those in a variety of ways and stay connected to other educators where I can. So I really take advantage of social media for that. I'm on a principals group for Facebook that's nationwide, and I stumbled upon that last year, and that's really been a big help, just with hearing what other educators are experiencing throughout the United States, and it's amazing how many similarities there are and differences for that matter, but just getting other viewpoints on a lot of the topics that come up are things that you're experiencing, and just that comment section, and it's reassuring at times, and provides you with viewpoints and access. I used Twitter a lot for that. We had a PD a number of years ago, and I'd never considered being on Twitter, and got onto it. I mean, he recommended there at the PD that you get onto it, and I did, and it kind of grew over the years, but you can follow a lot of educators and get a lot of great ideas and get exposed to a lot of journal articles and books and things like that through that. And again, same idea. I mean, it's social media, so you've got a lot of forums and whatnot for comments and stuff. So that's been really helpful. And then just the networking. I mean, where you talk about that Green Bush Leadership Academy, I've appreciated that opportunity to be a part of that and to have that connection with different educators and to have conversations about what's going on and to learn from different people. So I appreciate that opportunity the district has provided. And I've had a couple different things like that. I think my master's program was set up well. You had a cohort group at KU that went through it at the same time, and that was beneficial during that program. And I've used some of those people at different times as we've grown throughout our careers. And then the Caw Valley League that the middle school is part of has principals meetings, and you get some good discussions at times just about what's going on at different schools in the area. So very helpful.
We go to college career fairs and talk to recruits. And since you have been here a while, you know Lansing very well. What would you say to a student looking at Lansing as a possibility? How would you sell the district?
Well, I have been here for
Yeah.
a number of years. And like I said, my entire career has been really at Lansing Middle School. But I chose Lansing because I did live in the community when I was subbing. But I really enjoyed my time at Lansing Middle School. And like I said, that was my primary place. But I feel like the structure that was in place from Lansing and the district was impressive. But one of the reasons why I think you go to any place or you stay at any place is people. And the staff has always been a great staff at Lansing Middle School. And being that I've been there for a number of years, I've seen turnover.
Right.
I mean, we've had a number of people come and go, retire. And one thing that stays consistent, though, is that there's always a good group of people who are willing to help each other out and are truly dedicated to being professionals and helping students. But also, we have great students. We have outstanding families. I've always found it to be a very supportive place, and it's a place I think Lansing is a community that values education. So, it's the people that keep you there. And I think also just, I've been able to be a part of something that's bigger than myself while also helping to build that, the school and the district.
Right. I think that's why we like giving the tours, because we can sit, the two of us can sit and tell a college student, how great it is, but until they come in the buildings, they can feel it. They really can. You can. And doing the superintendent tours, every one of them was like, you've got a great group of people and students here. So I agree.
That is something where anytime you get somebody who's new, there's always an opportunity to get that perspective of somebody who's been in other places, and it's refreshing to hear them talk about how welcome they feel at Lansing Middle School and in the district as a whole. But that's where that, I think, collaborative piece comes in with PLCs and then interdisciplinary teaming. They get to work with other staff members, but they just talk about, if I ever have a question, I can talk to a colleague, and they're more than willing to help me out, and I can always
support.
get the help that I need.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that we have that in this district. I've noticed it just in my year and a half. From the moment I got here, anybody and everybody is willing to help you with something, whether it be, a logistical question or something that, we've done for a while, whatever it is. And I just love that. And I think that's where you're right. People during tours can see it.
Yeah.
So, Brooks, tell the truth on this question. Every time I start to talk of Brooks' face is like, oh, God, he's going to go off script. Going off script. How many, be prepared, how many of these episodes have you listened to, ballpark?
Oh, this is 16. I'll be honest, I was surprised there were that many.
That is not.
I appreciate the honesty.
I know. Lie.
I've probably.
That's like the worst way to say it. I would have much rather had you be like one or two. I'm so sorry.
You want to stop the recording?
Yeah, we're reading. Yeah, go ahead and pause it.
I've probably listened to between 6 and 8.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
I would have much rather had you say 1 or 2. I swear to God.
6 and 8's really
No,
good.
no. It's that part's great. Thank you. That's almost 50%. But the mere fact that you said I'm surprised you have that.
Like I said,
We come every 2 weeks, man. We've been doing. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Brooks. All right, this is what I get for going off script. So, since you've listened to 6 or 8 of them, and we have 16, by the way, we do a portion because our first episode was about this, I believe. We always ask our guests what their this I believes. Can you give us a personal and a professional this I believe?
I've definitely heard you guys do that. So I don't really have 2 separate ones for that. I mean, I think that I try to live by, things that would be intertwined. And so I believe that how you treat people is important. So when I talked about, in the last question, staying here because of people. So I think that, how, let me back up here. How you treat people is important. So I try to live by that. And, we have a morning announcement at school each day that I'll talk to students and always talk about being kind and respectful. And so I strive to keep interpersonal relationships at the top of my priority list, whether that is personal with family and friends or professional with students, parents, colleagues. I think that is extremely important. And I think that it sounds simple, but I think a lot of things can be solved if everybody would do that.
Yeah.
Well said.
that.
Couldn't agree more.
Yay. So
Ready?
that's the serious part.
Yes, and you
Now
and you
it's
did
the
very
trivia.
well.
You did
Russ.
very
I'm
well,
not gonna
man.
lie, you're
Very,
one of the
very
best.
thorough.
You would
Yes.
know if you listened to our 15 episodes that you were one of the best.
Well, that's good. Good to hear that.
I'm sure he's going to go back and listen
I
to
will
them
go
all
back
right now.
and brush up on the other
Thank you.
ones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeff Boland did after he listened to a few, but
He
then he
did.
went back.
He's reached
after
out a
we
couple
gave him
times,
lot
like, "Hey,
of
I like this."
heat,
We
and he did. He went back and listened, and he's a listener.
I
now,
think
so
that
I'm
the
hoping he'll
reason
be the same way.
I think the reason that our listeners are going up, or our listens are going up, is I think we're just guilt tripping people.
I'm okay with that.
I've noticed that, like me throwing it about my mom many times, like, our moms listen, right? Our moms listen. And they're like, I'm so sorry. So like, yeah. So Brooks, thank you when you're going to listen to the episode. So we
Okay,
appreciate it.
so fun part. Okay, we are going to be playing some trivia. So if you listen to episode 14 with Dr. Kolb, we put her up against a KU, a girl we met at KU career fair, Katie White. And we asked her a trivia question. Katie did win. Dr. Kolb lost that one. So you are going to be competing against Miss Emily Esom, which we are very happy to say. We met at K-State Career Fair. And she has since been hired at Lansing Elementary School as a second grade teacher.
I
And she is
remember it well
fantastic.
because after she interviewed with us, she stood up and people were like waving to come over. And she's like, it's a waste of time.
We're done.
I'm
This is
going
it.
to this district right here.
That's exactly how it happened.
She called us Landing. I remember she's like, I'm going to Landing. And we're like, Lansing. Lansing. That didn't happen.
What are you talking
Brooks's
about?
face.
Landing spot.
Landing.
Yeah,
It was
there
her
you go.
landing spot,
Right,
though. So,
right,
yes, thank you. And so,
But the funny thing is that so if you lose this,
this is fun.
you're going to be working with Emily, and I'm going to encourage Emily to rub it in. I might get her a trophy so she can put it
is
in
there
her.
a trophy I can put on my dash if I do win?
That's a
Oh, yes,
great
if
idea.
you win. But I'm telling you, she is really good at this. It was Miles and I were sitting there just with like our.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow. I did not think that
She
was
was
going
really
to happen.
good. So just so you know that,
So are you ready?
Emily?
Emily Esom.
Emily Esom. We'll introduce you because we'll be rubbing in your
Yes,
face that this is
we
the
are
person
definitely
you
gonna
be, or
connect
vice
you.
versa. Vice versa.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to ask you the same question we asked her and see who was able to name the most. Are you ready?
Sure.
You're going to have 15 seconds, by the way. And,
Okay.
so do you want me to time it?
Miles, I want you to get the timer because I've got Emily's audio clip.
Okay,
I
so
want
I'm going
to
to pull
hear
up
it
the
after.
timer. Okay, you're going to have
Yes.
15 seconds. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here is your question. Name as many rappers as you can in 15 seconds.
Rappers.
Go.
Okay. Go.
Fat Boys. Houdini. Run DMC. Beastie Boys. Dr. Dre. Snoop Dogg. Public Enemy.
Oh,
I feel really bad, but we're at 16 seconds. I let you go an extra second.
but he
You
did
got-
get it in though. He got it.
No,
in.
I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
You got 7. That's really
Okay,
impressive.
are you ready to hear
That's really
Emily's?
impressive.
I'm probably going to congratulate Emily.
Okay.
Let's see.
That was really
This
good,
is
Brooks. I'm
fantastic.
impressed. Okay. Here we go.
Go.
Lil Uzi, Youngboy, Drake, Pop Smoke, Tupac, Biggie, Ice Cube, Eazy-E.
This is impressive. Time.
Okay.
You heard me in the background go, whoa. So she got a total of 8,
She got
Brooks.
a-
I'm sorry.
So just one more. I know it was close.
So, yeah.
I'm really impressed though. Yeah.
So
I am. Okay.
you did
Yeah.
really well. I feel really
So
bad.
Emily, you get bragging rights. We are going to be emailing her.
I have to just
letting
say
her
something.
know.
I have to say something.
What?
So we make it's a script, but it's not. It's really just to keep us on track, keep me
Yes.
on track. Sharon wrote in the script line for her. Congratulations, Emily! You get bragging rights, and we owe you a candy bar when you start.
I did. It was already written.
I
was already
feel
written.
like you probably, yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna
Predicted
lie.
this outcome.
I saw that. I was like, yeah, probably. You did really well, but I
I
can't
just
believe
assumed. I was nervous that you were gonna like. I thought you
4
might win.
exclamation marks too. Congratulations, Emily! Wait. Yeah, 4
I'm sorry,
exclamation
Brooks.
marks. I just can't believe that you did that.
But she did so well. I didn't think he would even come close. So props.
Ouch. I had faith in you, Brooks. I didn't
Did
have
you guys
faith.
get that idea? Was that an Andy Reid question?
No.
The rapper
Oh.
thing? Did
Yeah.
they ask him that?
Oh.
I think so.
Oh, I
Oh.
missed that. I got.
We came up with that while we were sitting there with her
I
across from us.
think we did because we were like listing cool things. We did fast food
Yeah.
places last time.
Yes.
And so this one, and then
I
we've
did
got
hear that one.
Yep,
Yes,
and we've
that was
got,
cool.
and we actually have 3 or 4 students from Emporia and not Wichita. What's the other one that we went to?
Did we do Pitt State? I can't
I think,
remember. if
I think we
anybody.
pulled someone from Pitt
Okay.
State. I think we did.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've got 3 or 4 more students for upcoming episodes.
Yes.
But, man, Brooks, I'm not gonna lie, you did really
That was-
well to get 7. Bravo, sir.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
but bravo. I think it's a perfect way to wrap up the episode. Before we move on, though, Brooks, did you have a good time?
I had a fantastic
Yes,
time.
thank you.
Were you
for doing
nervous?
this.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, nervous? Yeah, well, you did really well.
You did.
As always, for more updates and stories on Lansing USD469, you can visit us at www.usd469.net.
And if you don't already have it, download the free Lansing USD469 mobile app on Apple and Android. That app allows you to be the first to know about all the fantastic. I can't even talk now.
You got it.
Be the first to know about all the fantastic things happening in our district.
If you would like,
No, you can't talk.
oops. If you like our content and want to stay up to date with the latest episodes, please follow us wherever you're listening to us and leave a review to help others find us and learn more about our great district.
We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. Go for it.
And Castbox. And the reason I couldn't speak was because I was trying to come up with my new Castbox joke at the last moment. By the way, we have a couple other
I know,
ones,
I was
right?
about to read them. Stitcher and Pocket Cast now.
Okay,
too.
now I'm gonna-
And Anchor, we're on Anchor, which is kind of part of Spotify. But
I think the
we're
Castbox
everywhere you want to listen,
Yep.
so no excuses.
Castbox jokes have run their course.
Yeah, they have.
What's the name of the other one?
Stitcher and Pocket Casts.
Don't know a Pocket Cast. You're up next, Pocket Cast. I'm coming for you. And if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, please send us an email at sharon.burns@usd469.net.
And that is a wrap on number 16. Woo.
Woo! Thanks
Thank
for
you,
listening.
Brooks. Thank you, Brooks.
Thanks, Brooks. Great job.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody.